Good morning. Good morning. I love seeing everybody here. Thank you for joining us today. May is recognized as National Elder Abuse Awareness Month, and each of the agencies represented here today, the Harris County District Attorney's Office, the Harris County Attorney, Houston Police Department, Houston County Sheriff's Office, Adult Protective Services, and Clear Channel Outdoors, joins Crime Stoppers of Houston in the fundamental belief that our elderly population needs to be embraced and protected by all of us. Elder abuse is rapidly becoming one of the fastest growing crimes. It is also perhaps one of the most unreported and misunderstood. In fact, the National Research Council estimates that approximately 1 in 10 Americans aged 60 plus have experienced some type of abuse. Some estimates say as many as 5 million elders are abused annually. That said, research has shown that for every one elderly abuse case reported, there are 14 more cases that are not reported, and this is simply unacceptable. Combine this with the fact that America's population of 65 and over is projected to nearly triple, thereby reaching more than 70 million in 2030. The community anticipates an increase in number of abuse cases and in the number of citizens at risk. Whether you are an older adult, care for one, or simply know one who is a senior, each of us can do something to prevent elder abuse, neglect, and exploitation. Today, we are here to announce the launch of a new public safety awareness campaign that will bring much needed attention to this issue. Through this joint effort, Crime Stoppers will work closely with our partners to educate the community on potential issues and elder abuse, as well as highlight the risk factors and indicators of abuse and neglect. Through it all, we remain committed to the investigation process and the cases and the ways these can be reported. You will hear more about this momentarily. In addition to raising awareness, Crime Stoppers will work with the community and law enforcement to stop the abusers and perpetrators. In recent years, through our Crimes Against the Elderly Initiative-based program, we have helped law enforcement solve 41 felony crimes against our elderly and disabled population. We look forward to only doing more. With this in mind, we have featured 5 fugitives wanted for crimes against the elderly that we are highlighting today. The first is Bridget Baggett. Baggett is wanted for robbing a 72-year-old victim at his residence. She forced herself into his home and demanded money, clawing him across the arm and chest in the process. Eric Carranza. Carranza is wanted for assaulting a person over the age of 65 while burglarizing their residence. The victim was duct taped and left for several days at their home. Carranza stole a truck, trailer, four-wheeler, zero-turn lawnmower, and guns. A few of the items were recovered at a later time. Janie Garcia. Garcia is wanted for robbing a 67-year-old victim. She, along with 3 other suspects, grabbed a woman from behind to steal her purse. They continued to punch and drag her on the ground during the robbery, causing her pain and leaving her with cuts and abrasions on her arm. Dante Mason. Mason is wanted for robbing an elderly man at his home. Mason and a friend had just picked up some belongings from the man's house. Shortly after, Mason returned to the house wearing all black and a mask and attacked and robbed the man. William Alberto Malpica. Malpica is wanted for robbing a person of the age of over the age of 65 as he was leaving a bank with a large cash withdrawal. If anyone has information on any of these suspects and fugitives, we please ask you to call Crime Stoppers at 713-222-TIPS. Crime Stoppers will pay a reward of up to $5,000 for information leading to the charging and/or arrest. And of course, all callers remain anonymous. It is my pleasure to invite Harris County Attorney Vince Ryan to the podium to say a few words about the new Senior Assessment Center opening in Harris County. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you very much. As I look around the room, I guess it's somewhat sobering to probably be the most senior person by age in the room. But with that, let me say that this whole topic is very, very, very important. And both fortunately and unfortunately, as we baby boomers start to gain in maturity and status of age, it becomes even more of an issue. she just mentioned several criminals who took advantage of elderly people. I don't think any one of those was a family member, but increasingly, and one of the things that we're very aware of, and here in Harris County, we've got a bifurcated system in a sense, but I think in this area it serves to the betterment of the community. The county attorney does the civil work for virtually all the county government. We represent Child Protective Services and the local affiliate. And I've got two of our attorneys who are key to this, Cecilia Longoria and Dory Wind. And Dory Wind actually was involved in the early 1990s when the county attorney's office got more and more involved in issues of elder law. And she actually took the lead and helped the office gain the authority and the responsibility that we now have in representing issues dealing with elder abuse and elder law. And at any one time, I think we've got, 1,200 different cases that we have some involvement in one form or fashion in dealing with elder law. So as this issue becomes more and more important, the civil side of county government, working with law enforcement, the district attorney's office, the 8 constables, the sheriff's department, working with HPD, working with other agencies, we need to do more and more of that kind of work. We need to follow on the leadership that Dory showed in the 1990s to get us more and more involved, meaning the county attorney's office in these issues. And as time goes on, the more and more we work collaboratively, because everyone in this room probably has members of their family who, if they're not already in the category of an elder, will be. And too often, as we've just heard, and too often as we know, those people are taken advantage of. So thank you for joining with us today. Thank you for Crime Stoppers to take the leadership that they've shown on this issue too. And I want to personally thank Dory, Cecilia, and our staff at the county attorney's office for all they do for elder here in Harris County. Thank you.
At this time, we welcome Mary McFadden with the Harris County District Attorney's Office, who will be speaking about prosecution of elder abuse cases.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. On behalf of the District Attorney's Office, I want to say thank you to Crime Stoppers of Houston for organizing this campaign and for helping to kick off Elder Abuse Month. It's only through the collaborative efforts of many agencies that we even have a chance to stop or slow down the abuse. I generally am the last line of defense. When a case comes through APS or law enforcement, it ends up with my office. And again, it's only through the collaborative effort, the hard work of everyone, that it can get to me, first of all, and hopefully be a success. So, as you know, the elder community is one of the most vulnerable populations we have. We have laws that protect children, we have laws that protect animals, we have laws that protect elders, but elders that don't want to report, elders that don't want to be involved in the process. Unfortunately, or fortunately, we know that as the population of elders grows, between 2010 and 2030 is expected to be the largest growth period. May 2017, as I stand here today, we're in the middle of that growth period. So now's the time that we need to come together. We need to address the issues. We need to have these awareness campaigns. We need to work collaboratively so that we can stop it or slow it down. As the elder population grows, what we see is that the crimes against them grow. We started in December of 2014 is when I started my position as the Chief of Elder Exploitation at the DA's office. And from there, with a handful of cases, we have grown and grown and grown to an overwhelming number, to the point that the DA's office has now added a new prosecutor. That is how overwhelmed we are with these crimes. As the crimes grow, our ability to keep the elders safe does not grow, because there's no preference as a target. It's both genders, it's all ethnicities, it's all cultures, it's all financial resources. Perpetrators don't target the rich, they don't just target the poor, they target who is accessible and available. So when we look at a perpetrator and we look at a victim and we make this outreach about reporting, bring us the information. The stats you heard is 1 in 14, and that number I think has even been estimated as high as 1 in 23 are all we know about. So the question then becomes for law enforcement, for the DA's office, why? Why don't they report? If an elder has capacity, why don't they come to us and say, stop? We want your help to stop. Well, it's because we see social issues, right? We see they're dependent on the perpetrator. We know that they don't want to report because they're isolated. Are they going to be left at home alone to fend for themselves? We also know that many elders are ashamed, right? They don't want to report because they don't want anyone to know that they may not be able to do what they used to be able to do. And that's going to result in a loss of their home, a loss of their independence, which scares them more than anything. We also know that elders don't report because they're often not able to. The Senior Justice Assessment Center, we hope, will help stop that inability with medical capacity, the medical component of those capacity tests. We know that elders are also sometimes sick, disabled, maybe not educated to the ability to know to whom the report should go. So cases involving the elders, let's say they are reported, they go through law enforcement, they get to me. They're often very difficult to prosecute. The elders don't want to come to court. They're unable to come to court, right? However, they're complex. There could be one perpetrator or many, and it's our job to sort through those and to see who we need to go after, who we need to stop. The victims also, if a case can get to me, are also not always the best witnesses in court. Can they hear to answer questions? Can they remember to answer questions? Can they see to identify the perpetrator, right? Did they even give enough detail to law enforcement to be able to make sure we have the right person? So though we know these cases are difficult, they're often hard to prosecute, they are some of the most important cases. To me, they are the most important cases. This is what I do. It's only what I do. My investigator, Gabe Vasquez, what he does, full-time, 100% of our job. And as the agencies here today, and as a lot of agencies who aren't here, we can't just stand by, close our eyes, and look away. We have to be the first line of defense. And our jobs are difficult, but they're also rewarding when at the end of the day, through everyone's hard work, we can say, stop. You're held accountable. And we can let that elder know this won't happen again from this person. So through the combined efforts, through the multidisciplinary collaborative efforts of every agency, through the process of getting the word out that we exist, hopefully another elder will report and another elder will be able to help. Thank you so much.
As with the Harris County Sheriff's Office Director of Community Services.
Good morning. On behalf of Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, I want to thank Crime Stoppers and Clear Channel Outdoor for their work to help bring justice to those who abuse some of our most vulnerable residents. Each year, hundreds of thousands of older persons in America are abused, neglected, exploited. Their abusers, sometimes caretakers, relatives, friends, people that they thought they could count on and trust, and found out different. Abuse takes many forms, and we all know some of them, but some of them we're not too familiar with. A lot of times, these elderly people, they forget to take their medication or whatever the case may be. The important part here is for us to keep tabs on these people. We know who they are out in the community. We know when we don't see them. We know when they're not acting the way they usually act. We need to say something about that. We need to bring it forward. We need to ask them questions. If we see a problem, we need to take it to local authorities, to local healthcare centers, and make sure they get addressed. There are warning signs to each and every one of these, and those are the ones that we need to pay attention to. We need to make sure we bring forward and address them immediately, because the longer we wait, the more damage it does either to their health or to their financial status. We are asking the community to be on alert. System-wide, we're asking everyone, just like in any crime, we get a lot of our help from the community, from the citizens out there that actually take time to report these crimes. And that's how we get our leads to start the investigation, to further it, and to actually get a conviction in these cases. At the Harris County Sheriff's Office, we are committed to ending the cycle of elder abuse. Thank you again to Crime Stoppers and Clear Channel Outdoor for helping us capture those who are charged with abusing our elder neighbors. Thank you very much.
We now welcome Chief Wendy Bainbridge with Houston Police Department.
Hello, I want to thank Crime Stoppers very much for holding this very important media availability. As it's been stated, the elder population is on the rise across the nation and certainly in the state of Texas. And as such, unfortunately, so are the crimes against this elder population, particularly in the areas of abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation. These are very difficult cases for law enforcement. What makes matters worse is that many of the suspects often are the caretakers of these individuals, and sometimes, of course, the family members as well. And the detectives also have issues with cognitive issues with our victims. This is a very, very vulnerable population. Think of a childlike mind with money. And that's why they're often targeted. What HPD is doing is we are doing two things. We're collaborating with all the other agencies that serve this population. We're trying to avoid anyone falling between the cracks of services. We're leveraging our resources together to present a better case to the District Attorney's Office for prosecution and hopefully conviction. We're also training our officers. We're also training our investigators that work on these cases. We're also training our first responders in patrol in the areas of cognitive impairment in our victims, interviewing elders, because there is a way that you can interview some of these people even if they have cognitive disabilities. They can take the stand for them and talk to them. We're training on elder financial investigations, criminal neglect of our elders, and components on how to create an elder abuse case to present to our District Attorney's Office. And while we're on the note of collaboration, I really have got to point out Claudia Gonzalez. She has done an absolute great job in the Senior Justice Assessment Center, so thank you, Claudia. And I just want to say our goals are very simple, and I think this is important for our suspects out there to know. We're all talking together. We are helping the quality of life for these individuals, and we're seeking justice. Thank you all very much.
We now welcome James Booker with Adult Protective Services District Director.
And I want to thank Clear Channel and all of the agencies involved. This year is a special year. Every year for the past 12 years, we've done a conference to educate our community about elder issues, elder abuse, and how we can provide services to prevent and stop elder abuse. So this year, with the opening of the Senior Justice Assessment Center, we're really coming out. We're going to have the district attorney out there, and she's going to be speaking about elder abuse. She's going to be our keynote speaker. We're also having presentations from HPD and other agencies involved. But some of the statistics I'd like to remind everyone of regarding elder abuse. We're the agency that goes out into the community. We see every client, and we try to put services in that prevent elder abuse. So some of the statistics that we have, last year in our area, we had over 20,000 elder abuse, neglect, and exploitation cases. We completed about 16,000 investigations, and of those, 12,000 were valid. In these cases, the most prevalent perpetrator in most cases are actually relatives, and adult children make up about 38% of those perpetrators in those cases. So what we try to do is work with the families to provide services that prevent and stop the abuse so that elders in our community can live safely without abuse, neglect, or exploitation. But what I would like to also discuss are some of the risk factors that we want folks in our community to look for so that they can look out for their older relatives, neighbors, friends that live around, so we'll have a safer community. So one of the things we want to combat is social isolation, and some of the things that we see in older adults would be reduced cognitive capacity, Many of them have disabilities. A lot of them depend on others for their care, so they go neglected. Some of the indicators, some of the factors for perpetration include mental illness, drug and alcohol abuse, lack of training. Some of them are just physically unable to perform those duties to help that individual, so they suffer from neglect. Inadequate coping skills, and some individuals have been exposed to abuse or neglect as a child, so they're not interested in taking care of their older adult parent. Some of the indicators of neglect, you may see a home in disrepair, hoarding. We see cases where houses have trash from floor to ceiling. Lack of utilities such as AC and heat, that can be dangerous for an older person. Lack of AC here in Houston in the summer can be very dangerous. Lack of heating in the winter can be dangerous to an older person. We also see indicators of exploitation would include changes in the bank account, changes in spending habits, maybe someone using credit cards in that client's name, a loan being taken out in the name, selling of property. We've seen an increase in exploitation cases. Some of the other indicators of abuse would be cuts, punctures, wounds, things like fear of the caregiver. Some people openly emotionally abused older adults in public, so we see some of that. Some of the things that we also see would include things like a client not being able to take care of themselves, someone responsible for their care, not coming in daily to do that. So those are the things that we see. So this month, if you see those types of things, we have an abuse line. You can call 1-800-252-5400, or we have a secure website, texasabusehotline.org. So if you see cases such as this, call it in Adult Protective Services, and we will send one of our employees out there to help. We have a lot of employees here today. I can't thank them enough. Thank you all. Thank all of the agencies that we work with. I want to thank Claudia and Barbara with SJAC for being.
Thank you, Rania. And on behalf of Clear Channel Outdoor and Clear Channel Americas, let me say how proud we are to be a partner in this particular effort with Adult Protection Services and certainly Crime Stoppers. We do a lot of work with Crime Stoppers and with all the agencies that are here today, the county attorney and all the law enforcement. This is to stimulate conversation. These messages will be are currently out on the streets now. There are, I think, 13 boards that are up in the area. And over a 1 month period, this will generate 3.5 million market impressions in this area. So this message will be seen quite a bit, not only this month, but will continue for the rest of the year. So this is not just about this month. We want to emphasize it's this month, but it's also, this conversation needs to go on for all of us throughout the rest of the year. Clear Channel is very important. It's very important to us that we stimulate this conversation in our community along with other public service efforts that we do all the time. The other portion of this program will be the perpetrators, the fugitives that you've seen this morning in the handout and on the screens will be featured on our digital billboards throughout the Harris County and surrounding areas. So we know that that works very well. We do a program with the FBI called Stop Houston Gangs, and out of 180 fugitives that we've posted, about 160 have been caught. So it's very, very effective to be out in the streets, on the streets, with their pictures, and people call in and turn those folks in. Sometimes they turn themselves in, which is even better. They don't want to see their picture. They can run, but they can't hide, right? So we're very, very proud to be a part of this. It represents about a $30,000 campaign for the initial campaign that we're donating to this effort. So without further ado, I get to do the fun part. So we get our speakers to get on either side of the board here. We're going to unveil the design. So we'll get everybody just kind of split up. It's half of you over there and half of you over here. you go. All right, and then we'll just do this on 3. Everybody kind of grab a corner. All right, 1, got it, guys? 1, 2, and 3.